We are very fortunate now that, thanks to donors like you and people that have contributed to the Barkley Forum, we have a budget, we have so many coaches, we have so many resources to excel at debate, but we're very aware that there are people who are able to do so much more, even with little resources or all the resources in the world. So in your mind, what do you think it takes sort of to be a competitively successful debater?
You have to be a fairly quick study and have a certain degree of spontaneity to be reacting to what somebody else has said, because you have your first affirmative written out ahead of time, and you're delivering that if you're the first affirmative. But everything after that isn't too well scripted. I mean, the second affirmative, if you're putting the plan into the second affirmative, they have a portion of it, but the rest is trying to rebut what somebody else has said. And if you're on the negative, it's all rebuttal. So that notion of having a decent listening skill, to pay attention to what they've said, to catch it all, and to have in mind how you're going to respond. The availability I don't know how you use your laptops and other things in this virtual world. We had the old-fashioned flow sheet, and that was, we got these big pads because Pelham believed that you should have a column that you could jot down the outline of what somebody else just made, and you could make your notes about your response as you were pulling your evidence. Now, how did you have your evidence? You had index cards that you had typed up that were in metal file cabinets, typically, the kind of one drawer cabinet with a handle on the end of it that you could lock so you could carry the thing. And many of my colleagues said, because you were a girl, we got to carry all the heavy stuff that was our evidence. I said, well, you have to put up with some things. And I was willing to take advantage of any benefits of being one of the small number of women who were on the circuit in that time of life in the country. So a lot of big differences in that respect. But it did mean you had to learn how to take notes in a hurry and listen in a hurry and think in a hurry. So you would be ready when their clock said stop, and you had to be up and ready to go. And that's a skill that you use particularly when you're a trial lawyer, because you're doing something similar. If somebody else has just put on their witness, you're taking your notes, you're getting ready to figure out what is safe to ask, in the sense that you don't want to ask some questions. It's just going to get you an answer that hurts. Where are some vulnerabilities? Do you have anything that you can anchor them to factually? It's like our old bit of evidence we were relying on. And that may be where in the deposition they said something, where there's a document that contradicts what they said, etc. So in that sense, they're parallels to someone, certainly who's going into the law. But I can think of a lot of fields where that sense of thinking through quickly, knowing how to respond, helps you if you're in a meeting context and people are bouncing ideas off about how you take the next step and how you critique something. It all is helpful. And you have more self-confidence when you're successfully doing this sort of thing.
How do you think debate influences someone's day-to-day? Once they've left the activity, what skills, what components of the community really can change aspects of someone's life?
Well, I think the kind of self-confidence that one can obtain, that you can stand up on your feet, you can make a presentation, an argument, if you want to call it that, but it's a presentation. It's just a particularly formatted presentation, and be comfortable doing that and not intimidated. That is a skill set in and of itself that you're going to use in virtually anything you do. If you want to be a teacher, you're out there staring at all those young or old, whatever the age group you're dealing with, whether it's at an academic level in college or teaching in a classroom with first graders. You're trying to command a room, you're trying to communicate, you're trying to persuade, and you need to look like you sort of think you know what you're doing when you're doing it. So that's a great skill set. I think to the extent that debate by making you, in the typical switch side debate mode, have to think about what arguments do other people have and why do they have them, I think that better equips you for a lot of fields, that you can perhaps understand that there is another side. You don't necessarily have to agree with it, but you can at least understand another point of view and take that into account as you frame a strategy, whether it's a business strategy, a life path that you're choosing, whatever. All of those are the kind of things that debate exposes you to. And the ability to sort of quickly organize your thoughts and sort of get a grip and get going. There are a lot of personal situations in life that skill set's going to come in very, very handy. So just to me, there are a lot of aspects beyond getting up, and whether at the slower speed of my day or at the super machine gun speed of today. I mean, the spread was getting started and people were speeding up the speaking pace as I was exiting debate, but certainly as I was doing judging while I was in law school. I made a little extra money being a debate judge or an assistant coach for Brandeis during my second year in law school rather. But it's not that skill that you'll use, but it's these other things that sort of equip you to do that you'll use in life.
And I guess the corollary question related to your investment in the Barkley Forum and all of its components, what motivates you to focus on compensation for debate coaches and for their future?
Well, I guess I think about historically how the budget back in the day was so minimalistic. And again, I think Emory has appreciated over the years more and more the strength that the Barkley Forum adds to the Emory experience and the types of students that its very existence attracts to Emory, and that these have been some of the best campus citizens, they've been some of the brightest students, they've been some of the most successful people subsequently, have included a large number of people who had the Barkley Forum experience. And I think they appreciated what it did to strengthen its relationship with high schools, for example, and then to do good in the community. So the support is easier maybe to get for the everyday budget of sending people off to tournaments and doing things like that. But as the programs get bigger and more diverse, you do require more staffing. And if endowing some salaried programs to keep top-level people coming here, that ensures top-level training to prospective debaters, to extemp speakers, to those who are going to help work with urban debate programs and use debate as a dispute resolution tool. Talk, don't pull out a knife or a gun, we can talk it through. Let's have civil discourse as a way of resolving disagreements. All of that, I think, is a worthy thing. So that was one way to do it. I don't think we need a formal speech department or having a faculty chair in the English department necessarily to do this. It's a different kind of experience. And while there are some universities that have departments of speech and rhetoric or whatever they call them, I'm not sure that you have to have that sort of discipline. But in order maybe to attract somebody who might otherwise go to an institution like that, I think supporting the compensation for those who come and coach and support the students here is helpful.